Hello and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast, episode 52, slaying the competition because we're here another Monday Night Football, talking about La Fiera and where they are at on the table, kind of just up and away, close to the end of the Guardianes 20 of the regular season. We're here to talk about everything that happened in the latest match versus Puebla. Tough match that we're going to have lots to talk about, but in the end, it's a victory Monday. So yes, thank you for tuning in. If you're watching us via Periscope, definitely leave us your comments, any questions you have, and via YouTube. Thank you guys as well. More than welcome to jump on the comments and just let us know. Any comments? Are you happy with La Fiera? How are they doing right now? Any, give us your take on it. Carlos and Louis, how are we feeling, guys?
Good. Cold.
Relieved about that result more than anything, because if after all that we went through, Javier and myself, to get there and then would have to drive that 6 hours back, it would have felt like 12 if they had lost the game. So I'm more relieved than anything else.
Yeah, happy to have this big cushion of points with 2 games remaining. We don't really have to worry about much, but just breaking our own record in points.
Yeah, we can't finish lower than second. Remember, there's a little confusion about that. We have the possibility with the Pumas Pachuca game that's happening in just a little bit here. If Pumas does not win, then we will be assured of first place when we wake up tomorrow.
Yep.
Not that the difference between first and second is that great, especially this season with no fans probably. But I don't know. There's still something nicer about finishing and about being. We'll have because the Liga won't start even until after another FIFA break, so we'll have a long time to enjoy being in first place if we end up assuring ourselves of first place, which is, I don't know, that's a nice thing.
It is.
Definitely. I got to take consideration. Yes, after the FIFA break, just hopefully everybody comes back safely and mentally. Because I think it's another Liga, and I really think this one is the one for them. So hopefully we end things great and then do even better in La Liga, which is what Louis has been saying this whole time. When they'll probably start kicking into Liga mode, kind of just all out. So in order for us to talk about everything that happened versus Puebla, Carlos, are you ready with the club team news prior to the match?
Yes, let's do it.
Do it.
All right, so I'm going to go backwards this time, and so we can give Louis a chance to talk about his experiences in Puebla. Firstly, Andres Mosquera was back. He did get a couple of garbage minutes, I think. But it's a good thing he's back now. We're up a man on defense. That's good. We're going to need him in Liga. Also, last week we heard that Jairo Moreno had agreed to an extension with the club for the next 3 years. Also, a big positive. That means we own his card. And with all the rumors circulating about him making a move to Europe, that's going to be definitely a major benefit for us as we try to cash in on his move. But the big news from last week, Puebla closed the doors on Louis and Javier last week and left you guys disappointed after a 6-hour drive. How was it, Louis?
Yeah, well, we got your message, Carlos. Literally pulling into the hotel.
Really?
I did find out later there were a couple of other Leon fans who had made the trip early and also got stuck there without a game to see. But for the most part, most of the fans who were planning to travel, like I know a big chunk of them were planning to leave in the middle of the night between Thursday and Friday, so they got the heads up and didn't end up traveling. They saved themselves the trouble. We unfortunately were not so lucky, but we ended up making the best of it. This happened to me once before. I don't remember if you guys remember. 3 years ago, there was a referee strike that suspended a jornada, and I had already made the trip to Chiapas, like the farthest trip you can possibly.
Wow.
And I was there, but that time and this time, both Puebla and Chiapas are nice places to get. If you're going to get stuck somewhere without a game, there are far worse places to be stuck. And Javier had never been to Puebla before, so it was nice for me to see him enjoying this new city, through the eyes of somebody who hadn't seen it before. There's great food, nice stuff to see. We went out to Cholula, Pueblo Mágico, and even though they're not allowing people to climb up to the parroquia that's on top of the hill that gives you a panoramic view of everything. We found a way to sneak up behind and and get a good view to take a picture with Popocatépetl, the big volcano.
Yeah.
And we ate a lot of really good food. And again, I'd had this experience before in Chiapas, although it felt a little different this time because in that occasion the game didn't even get played. This time the game was played, and we watched it in a Wings Army a few kilometers from the stadium, which was kind of a surreal experience, to be quite honest with you. To be there, just a little ways away. We also nos dimos una vuelta al estadio just before the game, and also obviously the Hotel de Concentración. So I mean, again, we made the most of the trip. We went and had a chat with Chapo, Sa Navarro, and Nacho Gonzalez, signed a few autographs. Made our presence felt, made our presence known. Man, I went the extra mile. I even messaged Rodrigo Fernandez on LinkedIn, which I never used, but that was the only way I could find to message him. I messaged him on LinkedIn. I was like, look, man. My buddy and I, we made this trip because I know him. He knows me. We've had a few conversations in airport terminals before. Yeah. So I like, look, man, is there anything you can do? If there's anybody who can do anything, you can. And he actually messaged me back. He messaged me back very, very nicely. And he said, I really wish I could, but those of us who are going in, like from the Directiva, we were on a list that was approved, like days ago. So there's nothing that can be done. I really wish there were. He felt bad, but there was nothing he could do. And I'm like, well, at least he messaged me back. Yeah. When he told me there was no way, then I believe there was literally nothing we could do except go to Wings Army and watch the game. We'll go Wings Army a few miles from the stadium and watch the game. But luckily the result was favorable. That's all I can say.
Yeah, the weather looked nice out there too.
The weather was nice when we were in Cholula. It was a beautiful, clear day. I'd been to Cholula once before, but when I was there before, it was super overcast and cloudy. You couldn't even see the mountains. Oh, wow. So like this was. I mean, it was actually a pretty cool experience, and they told us how we could go behind and go up, and you're not really supposed to go where we went, but we went anyway because we didn't care. Like, nah, ya valió todo. We're gonna go make the best of this however we can. We're gonna go find the best view. We're gonna eat the best food. We're gonna have some tacos árabes and some semitas and some chalupas and all the mole and all the good stuff they have there. Make the best of it. Puebla's a cool place. So, it was a nice couple of days. It ended up being a nice couple of days. Don't get me wrong. I'm still really, really disappointed, annoyed, frustrated, pissed off. But, we made the best of it. And we won the game, which is really the most important thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Pretty sure you guys had a couple of beers too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. We and I found the mezcaleria. I love mezcal. And I found like the only mezcaleria in downtown Puebla, and we made friends with the owner, and he told me which was the best kind to get of the style that I like, and yeah, I mean, we ended up having a pretty good time. I'm glad it was Puebla and not Torreon, for example, or Toluca,
boring place.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of them is that I've gone to. Awesome, Louis. I'm so sad that you didn't get to, live the whole experience, which I think I understand where you're coming from of being so close to where they're playing and not being there. So that kind of sucks.
Well, and having made the trip specifically for that,
exactly.
It was kind of surreal, but hey, it made for a great story. So yeah. It'll always make for a great story. I always have that story to tell, just like I have the story from Chiapas when I couldn't see the game. But I went to see Palenque, and I went to see the Cascadas de Agua Azul and all that stuff. I had a nice time in Chiapas, even though I didn't get to go to the game. Yeah. And then I went back a month later when they rescheduled it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long is that drive? Like?
Oh, no, I flew. Well, yeah, from Guanajuato, you have to take a bus to Mexico City and fly from Mexico City to Tuxtla, because there aren't very many flights. There are no flights from here to Tuxtla. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That'd probably be like a 20-hour drive.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You have something else, Carlos?
You guys want to talk about the Yairo Moreno rumors that were going around? Paco Montes was the one that reported it. So shout outs to him. He's the one he was the only source that I saw put it out there. But apparently Jairo had verbally agreed to a 3-year extension. Nothing official yet, obviously, because the club is very bad at making news official like this.
Yeah.
But any thoughts? What do you guys think? It's a good move, right?
It's a good move. I highly doubt he will be with the team for the next 3 years. I think he's one of the most sought after players in Liga MX. This is all about having control over his rights, and I like that a $15 million exit clause to the contract. I don't know if that number was accidental, but that number reminds me of a certain other player's exit clause. That was not paid. So that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that number. But this is all about club control. It's going to be a great business move. I mean, as long as he stays healthy, doesn't have any career-ending injuries or anything like that. I mean, he's going to be sought after by European clubs, and when that happens, we'll have full control over that transaction. So I think that's mostly what this is about. I mean, I'd love for him to stay another 3 years, but again, he might be the best. I mean, he's probably the best outside back in Liga MX right now. One of the best players in the league, and certainly one of the best young players. One of the players who generates the most interest in Europe right now. So I don't think he'll be here 3 years, but it's a great. I mean, it's a good move for the club. I mean, it shows that they understand what they have in this player, and that that they're taking that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so
Definitely.
Let's go ahead and move on. Kari, you have anything?
No, I think it'd be great. Do what?
No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I think I agree with Louis. I don't think he would be in the next 3 years, which he's been targeted by European clubs, which brings to another rumor of the Nacho Ambriz one, which we'll probably talk about at the end after talking about Puebla, which would be really great if they, if Nacho Ambriz ends up going to Euro. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I guess that's the good thing about the making those connections. And I mean, Jairo's an outstanding player, and I think we would love to see him thrive in Europe. But first, we need to get that title with him there, because he's done so much for the team and his growth. It's kind of amazing watching him kind of go through. When he came, we were kind of running out of patience, what's going on, to now it's just a top player. So hopefully nothing but the best for him, but he needs to win with us a campeonato first before he leaves.
It's gonna feel like an incomplete project if he doesn't. We've said this before, but it's worth repeating. It's gonna feel like as good as this project has been. I mean, he's totally blasted away his point total with Leon. He's blasted away even Gustavo Matosas. In terms of the points that he's accumulated with the team. Someone posted a graphic that I don't remember who it was or where I saw it, but a graphic of over the course of the same number of seasons, how many points they racked up as managers with Leon, and Ambriz has blown him away, but no one's going to remember that if he doesn't win at least one title.
Yeah, we'll be celebrating it this December. Don't worry about it, guys. But let's go ahead and move on to the starting lineup, and then just talk about the Puebla match on Friday night. Starting 11, same starting 11 that we had the previous match. Rodolfo Cota on goal, Osvin Rodriguez, William Tecillo, Steven Barreiro, and Navarro as our backline. The lone recovery man was Aquino, who I think we should talk about at some point. Luis Montes in the middle doing his magic, and then on the wings we had Avion and Mena, and then up front we had Meneses and Gigliotti, who scored a goal finally.
He did.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good goal too.
Yeah. And had an amazing assist, probably one of the best assists of the season.
Yeah, on his knees too.
If we're gonna do player ratings later in the show, I'm just gonna spoil it right now. Gigliotti gets a 10 from me.
Damn, for real?
Yeah.
I think that's the first 10. Well, no, I think with the game with Chapamontes, we gave him a 10, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we gave him a 10 once before, yeah.
Yeah, so this would be the second 10 of the whole pod to Gigliotti.
I mean, just because of that assist, man. Not even the goal. The goal was good, but that assist, like where did he pull that out of? You know, and it's nice to see that he can do something like that. That he's not just a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he doesn't just
Yeah.
he doesn't need to just wait for the perfect service in. He can also create and make things happen in other ways. That was really encouraging. Hopefully, he can keep that up.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But were you guys surprised, like I was surprised, of Osvaldito Rodriguez starting again? But yeah, he kind of, I think, redeemed himself from last game, this game. But I was really surprised. I was
Well, you
like,
had that.
why are you starting
Yeah.
Osby again?
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have another true left back that they can slide in without shaking things up. I mean, unless
Yep.
you consider
Yeah.
William Tecillo that option, but then you have to sub in a different center back. I guess maybe, you know, Mosquera's still not quite ready to go. He's not ready to start and play 90. So I mean, you don't really have another. I mean, unless you want to start Nacho Gonzalez and go 90. Yeah, I think there are worse options in the world than that. But if you wanted to slot somebody in and not change the scheme up too much, I mean, really, your only option is Osvi. I'm not again.
Yeah.
He had a better game. Obviously, he had that great assist.
Yep.
On the first goal. I'm still not a fan of his game, really, but he definitely had a better game than he did against America.
Yeah, and I think most of our problems didn't come from his position; they came from other positions, namely center backs, just having issues like William Tecillo. First time I saw him all season actually mess up on a play, and he almost gave up a goal to the striker. Well, I forget what his name is, from Puebla. He's a Peruvian guy. Yeah, Ormeño. Yeah, where Cota made that really nice save on him. But that was Tecillo's fault, and then obviously on the goal, I think it was Navarro's fault. But Osvi, I didn't see him really have a bad game. I think he, like Gary said, he redeemed himself, and especially with that assist, it was spot on. It's perfectly placed, and Gigliotti, if you give him those kinds of balls, he's going to put them away.
Yeah. I think the goal against was also partly Nacho Ambriz's fault. I questioned his, like, what he was. Okay, he had Nick Killer and Campbell all ready to come in right when Aquino got sent off.
Mm-hmm.
Why not pull one of them back and send in, you know, Fidel Ambriz in that moment? We obviously weren't going to try to run up the score at that point. At that point, it was all about protecting the lead. And those first few minutes without Aquino and without a contención nominal replacing him, we really struggled.
Mm-hmm.
Really struggled, and that's when the goal happened. You know, it happened shortly thereafter. So I don't know. I might have made a few decisions differently from a substitutions to a coaching standpoint, or at least told the players to shift around a little bit, maybe sit Chapo back a little bit more. He can do that. I don't know. I don't think in the immediate aftermath of the sending off of Aquino, the situation was handled in the best way by the coach, neither by Ambriz or the players. And it also shows like kind of how dependent we are on Aquino. So I really hope he doesn't act stupid like that again. Shall we say?
I mean, he went this far, Louis. Let's give him a round of applause. Like, he's gone this long, and I was like, you know what? I think he's gonna hold it to the end of the regular season, and he almost did. But I mean, you gotta give him credit at least, because we know how you know how he is, and I was like, you know what? And just because how this game was, we knew we were going to come into a very old, aging Puebla that honestly was just kind of just trying to preserve themselves, and it gave us trouble. And I was getting annoyed at the commentators of Tudene, like, oh, like this Leon, this, and I'm like, guys, you not see how Puebla is? Literally, you could see the line of 5 constantly in the back. You can see 2-3 people marking, and you would just see these unnecessary fouls that just cut the flow of the game every single 5 seconds. That was so frustrating to me. Like, how are we supposed to manage getting through point A to point B while these fouls keep, and I was worrying about, I think I got up and I was like, oh my God, I think it was the Chapito Montes being on the floor. And I was like, you guys, this is the kind of game where...
you hold your breath, and most of the time it's just gamesmanship. I mean, he's good at selling fouls. I mean, he's good at knowing when to go down and how to go down. So most of the time it's that. But every time he gets hit, every time he goes down, you just hold your breath, and then he always gets up and it's fine. But
yeah,
but you're still holding your breath every time that happens. Yeah, But Aquino, he's got to keep his head. You just can't. I don't think it was a red, honestly.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
not a
say, I
red.
think it was
I don't think it was a red.
Not a
I
red.
doubt they'll appeal it, and I bet even if they do appeal it, they won't get overturned. That's just kind of how it's really hard to overturn these things. But that's why you just can't do that, because if you do that, if they see head-to-head contact like that and you initiate it, they're going to send you out. There's just no, you can't, you just can't do that. It's an automatic red. So he's got to keep he's got to. Luckily, we've almost got this super liderato locked up, so it's not that big a deal if he misses a match. But keep your head, man. You just can't be doing that kind of stuff. I was so mad. I was so frustrated. You're right. He deserves credit. He's lasted this far. That's in the moment. I was so mad at him.
Me too, because it was just near the end of the game, and we just really needed to just hold the ground. And after that Puebla goal came after ours, I was like, oh no! Like, I think it's just that instant, like, here we go again kind of situation. So, it was just.
Puebla was really going for it. They basically had to win to have any shot at even the repechaje. Their path to even to the repechaje is really complicated now. So they gave it everything they had. Credit to them, and we kind of, I don't know. I felt like we played as though, look, we're way more talented than this other side, but we're already thinking about the next step, in the next phase, bigger and better things. I mean, I think they're already thinking ahead. I mean, honestly, as well they should, because these last two regular season games don't really matter. If we're being quite honest, what matters is what comes after that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the whole Aquino situation, I think we should be okay, because if you look on the bright side, we do have Jefecito back. He's training, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the next match day roster.
Yeah.
Or at least just get some time before Liga kicks off.
Yeah, so you can get into the rhythm in case another situation like this happens and we actually have a replacement. I think they've been just seesawing back and forth. Jefecito not being at his best, and then you throw in Aquino, and then now this. So they're going to seesaw, I think, all the way down. I'm hoping not with the red card situation with Aquino that we know, but at least we do have Jefecito back just in case, and we'll probably use him. Mena racking up 7 goals and Gigliotti 5. So not too shabby there, guys.
Yeah, Mena all of a sudden, I mean, that bad start he had to the season, which, I mean, he's still not his sharpest. I mean, look at that great chance he missed. He made up for it a few minutes. He made up for it a few minutes later, obviously.
Yeah.
on a much easier chance, or like a much more straightforward chance. But even that first one, I mean, and even on we were watching the Azteca broadcast, and I don't think it was Martinoli. It was the analyst who was saying, "Man, Mena just he can't he wants all of his goals to be pretty." You know?
I heard that too.
Yes.
I heard that too. Yeah. It's okay to have ugly goals.
It's okay to have ugly goals. I mean, he just needed to, he needed to put that one on frame, but he wanted it to sail in majestically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't need that. Okay. He made up for it a few minutes later. So it's not like it really changed the game that much. But come on, man. Just put it in. Don't you don't have to be majestic. Just put it in. But still, 7 goals after the start that he had to the season is pretty good. Pretty good total at this point. And Gigliotti, who nobody really, again, we didn't really expect. We didn't know what to expect of him, and our expectations, if we had any, were pretty low. We expected maybe a slightly better version of Leo Ramos, and I think he's been a much better version of Leo Ramos.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he works hard. Like, he works his butt off every single game. And even though last game, it was a pretty unlucky game for him because he was frustrated and it was just not going his way. I think this game, he definitely redeemed himself. If we're going for performance reviews, I'd probably give him a 9.5 because he had a really, really good night. And I'm hoping it just continues. But I think people would always, since the beginning, talked about, okay, who's going to be a matador, because JJ departed, but Ismael Sosa departed. But as we know, Leon has a lot of goal scoring opportunities. Navarrito has become another goal scorer that no one really tends to they do pay attention to him because of the way he moves, but not kind of when they least expected, pretty much. But
yeah, and you can tell that Gigliotti really, really relishes the opportunity to play for León, like especially after being in Toluca, a terrible Toluca squad that didn't provide him with any opportunities to do anything to make any sort of difference, and then he comes over to León, and you're going to see it in his eyes when he's out there. He really likes playing for this team, and he's relishing the opportunity. So, you got to respect that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and about the goal scoring, we started off the season very dry. We couldn't score any goals. Like, we were barely scoring any goals. Even our previous season goal scorers were just dry. They couldn't put the ball in the net. Right now, we're at a plus 12 goal differential, and the only other team that has one more than us is Tigres. That's it. Everybody else is less than us. So it seems like at some point we just kind of turned it on. Even though we don't score 4 or 5 goals a game, it's 2-3 per game.
Yeah,
and it all adds up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I guess let's go to performance reviews. I mean, obviously, I think Lou and I already gave for Gigliotti. So, Carlos, what are your thoughts? Performance review for Gigliotti versus Puebla.
I'm not going to say 10. I'm not going to say 10. I think that's, I don't know. I'm not going to say 10. I think that's a little too much. That would be putting him up there in the same level as Chapo Montes. And I don't think Gigliotti, as much as we need him, I don't think he's on the same level as a Chapo Montes, with all due respect. So I'll give him a 9. I'll give him a 9 because he did really well. You can tell he's really playing. Like Louis said, he really relishes playing with Leon. That assist, the goal. I mean, he's in position. It was a really great game by him. So give him a 9.
Okay. Goal and assist. Let's go with performance review for Chapo Montes. So
Man, it was a tough night for him.
It was.
I don't mean tough in terms of like him struggling. Just tough. Just they're knocking him around and they're getting up in his business every single time. Like he's one of the players who most suffers when a team bunkers on us, because like he's the one who's trying to be the most creative, like trying to possess and trying to be creative with possession, and so they're always up in his grill. So like he kind of had a rough go of things, but I mean I think he fought through. I don't you don't remember too many spectacular moments from him, but I mean he's the cog that makes the whole machine work every time.
Yeah. So what's your?
I mean, I'll give him an 8.5. Not like a spectacular night, but I mean he's out there doing his stuff, and he had to fight through a lot of tackles and a lot of bumps and a lot of falls, and a lot of everything.
And
so,
and he gave the assist to Gigliotti on the second goal, which then Gigliotti converted into his own assist. Mm-hmm. So that was actually a really good pass. If you guys watch the replay, he actually threaded the needle between the center backs. So yeah, I think 8.5 is a pretty fair result for Chapo.
Same. I'm gonna go with 8.5. I agree. I think he's definitely our backbone, and I agree with Louis. They've been giving him a tough night, just because they know his creativity. It just the way his vision is just something amazing to watch. Let's go with Avion. According to SofaScore, he had the lowest score with a 6. So he had 46 touches, accurate passes, 28, which equals 90%. Out of 4 dribble attempts, he only made 1. Out of 6 ground duels, he only had 1. He lost possession 11 times, and aerial duels, out of 2, he got 0. So it was a tough night for him.
I'm curious to know what the numbers are for Angel Mena, because if both of these guys are wingers and Puebla was just sitting back, so it's hard for our wingers to shine when the team is just sitting back on us.
Yeah, I mean Mena obviously made his impact on the game with his goal.
Yeah,
but but other than that, I think you're right. Like it's a tough game. It was a tough game for wingers to make an impact. I'm definitely not going to say every week I say this was Avion's best game as a member of Leon. This week I'm not going to say that. I mean, he just didn't have an opportunity to make as much of an impact. But I mean, he also wasn't causing any problems by being out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just I would say average performance. Maybe I'll give him an 8.
I'll go 7.5. I mean, I don't remember any spectacular plays that he made, but like you said, no like crazy errors that he made either. Just average. 7.5 is average for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Carlos. It wasn't his best night, but it wasn't a bad night where, we've kind of went into some players, for example, Osby last game, but we know what he's capable of doing. So a match like this, it's not gonna do any harm in the long run. Maybe he needs to get rested a bit. Let's go with Cota. I don't think we've
Oof.
done a performance review on Cota so far.
I mean, I would say other than Gigliotti, he's probably our second man of the match. Other than Gigliotti, because he had so many stops.
Which is disconcerting. You never want your goalkeeper to be that much of a protagonista. It's like, great, I'm glad we have him back there, but it'd be nice if he wouldn't have to make so many miraculous saves.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, he had an incredible game. I mean, some of the stops he made were like literally 1v1s against Puebla's strikers, and I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna put him up there with Gigliotti. What did we give Gigliotti? I gave him a 9.5.
You gave him a 9.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Cota 9.5 as well. I mean, just for those stops. I mean, we could have easily been down like 1-2 goals at the half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, props to him.
Yeah, I'll give him a 9.5 as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna give him a 9. I mean, yeah, he was very important, but I think with Luisa, you don't want, we should have had other players que hubieran sido protagonistas, but I think we have to take in consideration how Puebla played, and I don't know how Puebla survives, honestly. I think just they need a whole new vamp on their whole institution, because this team is just falling apart, and surprising how
it's the institution. Institution is the key word there, because they're these teams who just think that with basura refuerzos they're going to be able to do something, and sometimes they start off the season that with pure motivation. They start off the season surprising, but then they always fall. They always tail off. They always falter. Same case with Querétaro, which cost Alex Diego his job, and it's really not his fault.
It's not his fault. They should have kept him. I liked him, actually.
Yeah, I actually. Well, once we talk about Ambriz, I might bring his name up again. Just in a hot take. It's not a hot take right now, but it might be a hot take later.
Okay.
Let me know. I have the clip ready.
Have that button ready.
I'll save it. But these teams, they don't get good refuerzos, and sometimes they can, the motivation can only carry you so far. Eventually, that talent gap over the course of a long season you're just going to tail off. There's no other, and so they were in desperation mode. This was their last chance to playing at home. To where Leon, as good as we've been, we've struggled to win at Estadio Cuauhtémoc, and so they went for blood. They tried. They went in desperation mode. But that's the thing I've enjoyed most about this season is the way teams try to play us. Bunkering, back lines of 5, just bumping, bruising, tackling, slowing down the flow, and they do everything they can, and it still doesn't work.
Yeah,
we still find a way to get the job done, even when we're not playing really with our full 100% dedication, which I really think they weren't. Again, I think they're thinking about the bigger picture at this point. They weren't thinking about that match, and we still got the result, and we still got the point. So that's been the satisfying thing for me. They know what we're trying to do. They work. They scout us. I mean, and they strategize to stop it, and they can't stop it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what looked like a mini trap game in my eyes ended up with Leon a victory of 2-1. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Before we go into kind of a little preview, we're going to talk about Ambriz because there was rumors of him leaving at the end of the season to pursue his personal career and coaching in Europe. What do you guys think? I think, like Louis had said earlier, he has unfinished business, and if we become campeón, they're going to be tough shoes to fill because Leon has a defined style of play. Who would come if these rumors were to be true and he left to kind of fill that role and keep the just keep the style of play going that has already been established with these players?
First of all, before we even mention anything, I just want to say that I don't believe these rumors.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and entertain them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also skeptical. I mean, I don't feel like they're coming. They're coming from sources like Soy Fiera and things like that.
Yeah.
Sources that just they lose nothing throwing out big rumors.
Yeah.
If they're wrong, nobody remembers, and if they're right, they're like, "Oh, I heard this first on Soy Fiera." I'm not saying specifically Soy Fiera. Sorry, Soy Fiera, if you're a source that covers the team, and I respect you.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are these pages that's mostly what they do. They like to throw out these rumors, and if they come to fruition, they look like geniuses, and if they don't come to fruition, nobody really remembers or cares. I'm with you, Carlos. I don't know if
it's
how much we should.
It's also not the right time for the coach to say something like that. I mean, heading into Liguilla at the middle of the season, it's probably not a statement that he wants to put out there. And those are topics that should be handled at the end of the season when you either win something or you just go home. But those are things that are handled between management and the coach, and not in the middle of the season, not right before Liga. So that's what makes me think that this is just puro humo,
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't find it all that. I wouldn't find it all that surprising to hear that he has offers on the table or that there's interest, because what he's done with Leon over these past few seasons is really quite remarkable. And in a league where managers don't get enough time to really even get a project started, let alone continue for as long as he has, it's even more impressive. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has interest, if he has generated interest. I mean, he's been in Europe before. He still has contacts over there, assuredly. And if he does, I think he will leave. It might not be after the end of this season, especially if he doesn't win. But he will. I think he will leave for bigger and better things eventually. I mean, I think his dream is really to coach the selección. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick around until that opportunity comes available. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think he will leave eventually. He's too. I mean, what he's done with us is too good for other teams, big clubs, to not have taken notice.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a nice farewell for him to leave if he were to win the title. But then again, I know a lot of us are going to be wanting him to stay and say, go for the doblete, go for the back-to-back, or the bicampeón. I'm sorry, the bicampeonato. And I'm pretty sure La Directiva is probably going to want the same thing from him. They'll probably give him a nice fat raise. But like you said, if he has offers coming from Europe, then if that's his dream, then he might just sign off on one of those.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't hate Macias as much as I do now if he'd actually gone to Europe and not to Chivas, because his dream is to play in Europe. So you don't want to be holding back people's dreams. Like, that's not we're not about that here. I mean, unless if it's to go play with the selección in a meaningless friendly and get injured, like then I'm totally fine holding back somebody's dream there. But like in Ambris's case, like if he wants to coach in Europe and he has the opportunity to do so, like we really can't deny him that.
Yeah.
Or suggest that he shouldn't take such an opportunity. Like that's not what we're about on this podcast. I wouldn't say,
Yeah, no.
But it's worth thinking about a future without him, because se apuesta por la continuidad, like they want to mantener la base. So I feel like we're gonna still have basically this team for a while longer, and as long as we do, like they're gonna be. I mean, they have the players to be really competitive,
just with a different coach.
So yeah, but that different coach has got to be somebody who can kind of keep the process going.
Yeah.
If not like grow it, at least like maintain it where it is. That could be a tricky prospect. I mean, we can throw out a whole bunch of names.
Yeah.
But like who knows?
I mean, and if we don't win, like let's say just hypothetically we don't win at the end of the season, you have to bring in somebody who's a winner. You can't just bring in a mediocre coach. You have to bring in somebody who can get the team over the top.
Because it's a tough team to take over because of how, you know, how they play so well. So I mean, I would want someone that understands that and, like you guys said, continues that. Because if not, then what Nacho Ambriz has built in Leon, it all just comes crashing down,
Yeah.
and that's where I will riot. Like, what are we gonna do now?
What do you guys think about second run with Matosas?
I don't think he can coach in Liga MX again. At least not
Really?
anytime
Is he
soon.
banned?
I think he's like, I mean, even if he's not officially banned, he's in poor graces with some important people.
Yeah.
And
True.
so I think I don't think we'll be seeing that. But I mean, if we're talking about in a vacuum and then none of that existed, like he'd be a really good option.
Yeah.
For the roster. But okay, here's we may as well do the hot take now.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Okay, so we saw the news of Alex Diego's firing today. Querétaro, a really unjust firing. I don't think none of what is going on in Querétaro is his fault. And we threw out all kinds of names in the group chat. Peckerman, Ruben Omar Romano, like all these options with or without ties to the team, but who might be good options. I'd love to see what a guy like Alex Diego could do with this roster, because what he did with that Querétaro roster early in the season, like with the extreme lack of talent that roster has, that roster is probably maybe the least talented in Liga MX, one of the least talented in Liga MX. They just don't have anybody. But they had a really strong start to the season, and I think a lot of that was Alex Diego. He can only go so far with that, but imagine what he could do with a roster like Leon's. I mean, I'd be very curious to see if they announced his hiring. Like, I wouldn't be upset necessarily with that. I think it'd be a cool experiment. I don't think they'll go that route. They'll probably get somebody more experienced, like with more trayectoria. But someone's going to scoop up Alex Diego, and if he gets a roster with more talent than the one he had in Querétaro, I mean, I think he could do some cool things. So that's my hot take. I would not be upset if Alex Diego were hired in the event that Nacho Ambriz moved on to Europe.
Okay.
We'll have to wait on that. We'll have to see what happens in the offseason.
Yeah. Let's win first.
Obviously, ideal is that Nacho Ambriz stays.
Yeah.
And win. Let's win first.
Yeah.
Let's win first. But I think in the long run, if that ends up happening and Diego is a free agent, then I won't see why not. I think having a youthful coach would be good. Would be good for the team. I think I agree with you, Louis. So let's just wait till the season, win, and see what happens with Nacho Ambriz's future. So good hot take. We gotta do at least one hot take a podcast. Let's move on to the next game against Santos. And you know what, Louis? Let's go with your story time for Torreon. Are you ready?
Sure.
Let's go.
So I think I've said before on here that Torreon is my least favorite destination in Liga MX for a number of reasons. It's an ugly city. It's a dangerous city. It's really, really hard to get there traveling. There's no good way to get there. There are direct flights, but not from here. It's a really, really long bus ride. What I usually end up doing is flying up to Monterrey and taking a bus from there, which is only like a 4-hour bus ride instead of like a 12 or 13-hour bus ride. Yeah, it's hot, it's nasty, it's dusty, it's just not an enjoyable experience. Dry, but it has a couple of things going for it. One is that the Santos Stadium is one of the nicer, smaller stadiums in Liga MX. They have there what I would hope will eventually be what León has, is like a Ciudad de Futbol. I mean, they're obviously going to have their Casa Club, which is also kind of going to be a Ciudad del Futbol. So maybe the stadium won't end up being like that. But Santos, like, they have their whole, it's like Zona TSM Corona, Zona Santos. It's like they have this whole little enclave in the city that's just for the team. It's like outside the city. and everything there. All the players and coaches, everybody lives around there, and they have like a hotel and a hospital and the stadium, and it's like this whole place, and it's getting developed. It's turning into like a really, really nice area, like the only nice area in the whole city. So footballistically speaking, they have a really good thing going in Torreon with Santos. Like I think León, when they build their stadium, should model it after what they've done with Santos in Torreon. I think it's really cool. It's separate from the city, but they got a good thing going there, and it's a great place to watch a game. Unfortunately, I've never seen León win there. It's one of the few stadiums I've never seen León get a win. They were completely on their way to doing so the last time I went there, and then they blew it.
VAR.
Yeah.
Meneses goal.
The Meneses goal, and then and then the Mena Piqué that tied it up, and then it was. But I was in a palco. I got offered a chance to be in a palco at Estadio TSM, and had a great night. I met up with an old friend of mine from when I lived in Monterrey, who's from Torreon, and she happened to be in the city, and we had a really nice time. So I've had some nice experiences in Torreon. I have some musician friends who live there too. It's not a nice place to be, but my experiences there, aside from the games, well, even the games themselves, just because it's such a nice place to take in a game. One of the nicer places to take in a game in Liga MX. So I've had some good experiences there, aside from the fact that it's my least. That there and Toluca are my two least favorite destinations in Liga MX. But and also the lonches. They have pretty good food. Lonches and gorditas. They have
lunches are good.
Yeah, the lonches are great.
The gorditas are good too.
I went to the best lonche place in town with our boy. Shout out to Tom Harrison. I went to the best lonche stand in Torreon with him, and that's a memory for the grandchildren as well. And
so here's
and
how
the
you
gorditas.
know.
The gorditas de harina, not like any other gorditas that they have anywhere else in Mexico. They're way, way, way better, in my opinion.
They're so good.
Gorditas de harina de prensado. It's really, 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 really good. So for those things, the stadium experience at the Santos Laguna Stadium and the lonches and the gorditas make a trip to Torreon almost worth it.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost. What were you gonna say, Carlos?
I was gonna say, would you go there just for the food, no game, just the
no,
food?
Definitely
No?
not.
Then it's not worth it.
But not on purpose.
Then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
What if I lived there? Would you go?
If you live there?
Yeah. Would you go visit me and then be like, you know what? Might as well I'm here. Let me go get some food.
You better have a bomb hacienda like with a garden like out, and then just come to my crib and we'll chill, and we'll invite some banda over, and we'll have like a baller party.
Nice.
That sounds like a plan. Maybe not in Torreon, maybe somewhere else.
Oh, the other funny thing about this last trip is so the Santos usually plays on Sundays, and we were going to be in a palco. So like, well, if we're going to be in a palco, we can bring our own cheves. But in the state of Coahuila, after 12 p.m. on Sundays, they stop selling alcohol.
What?
So what you have to do is go across the border to Gómez Palacio, also known as Gómez Balazo, in the state of Durango, where they do sell alcohol after 12 p.m. on Sundays. So you cross the bridge into Durango, and you can go to a deposito and get all the cheves that you need for the stadium. And then you drive back. Yeah, then you drive back across into Torreon.
I feel like I bought beer though on a Sunday.
No, you can buy beer in the stadium.
Because I bought beer on a Sunday like there before, but I'm talking about
you can't like buy beer like if you're going to a palco, like you want to bring your own beer, and you can't buy it in a store like afternoon on Sundays. You can get a beer like in a restaurant or in the stadium stand.
But not just for your own self.
Yeah, but you can't go to a store and buy beer in the state of Coahuila on Sundays after 12.
You can't go to El Oxxo.
You can't go to El Oxxo.
I have before. That's why I'm like, I don't. Maybe for some reason it never occurred on a Sunday, so maybe that's why I don't know this.
Yeah. Well, so they usually play on Sundays. Sometimes they play on Fridays, so it wouldn't be an issue then. But But yeah, that was a funny story from the last time I was there. We had to drive across state lines to buy beer to take to the Palco.
Nice.
Yeah.
What beer did
Yeah.
you get since you don't like the beer
I
there?
think I think we got mostly Coronas. Like you don't want to be seen on camera in a Palco in Estadio Corona with a Tecate because like that's that's the enemy brand. Yeah.
Tough. Crazy. It's good story time, but yeah, those food mentions are pretty good. I don't know. I feel like I need to know what is up with the different gordita de harina from there because it's so different than anything I've
Yeah.
ever tasted before.
Yeah.
So
Like I don't like any of the. I don't really like the gorditas in Guanajuato. They're too plain for me. They don't really have a ton of flavor. I don't really care for them that much. But I love those gorditas in Torreon.
definitely.
Yeah.
So Santos, what do they say? 7th place on the table?
Mm-hmm.
They are 7th.
7th place. They won against Atletico de San Luis, tied against Pachuca, won against Xolos, won against Puebla. I think it's been a different season for them. Obviously, they have lost El Huevo Lozano, so I think they've had to kind of adapt in a different way. I'm surprised. Sorry, Carlos, continue. My eyes like burning.
So let's just go over some of the. I have some numbers here from. We're at home, right? We're playing at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wherever that may be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get into that in a bit. But it looks like they only have 2 wins away from home. 2 road wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses. So it looks pretty good for us. It looks like we're the favorites here, especially being at home. And even if we don't play at home, we're still really good.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that's it's a good stat that we have here in our favor.
Yeah, I think first of all, a lot's going to depend on this game that's about to be played in an hour. Pumas and Pachuca. Like I think if we have first place wrapped up, I don't know like how seriously they're going to take this game. Like it's hard to know if they're really going to go for it. I mean, the only thing left in play really is the points record.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
yeah.
I think any of us would greatly prefer being fresh for a Liguilla run than going all out for a points record.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think that's one of the good things that came with this whole restructuring of Liguilla is that if you have first place already, secured, you can just play with, team B's in your last 2 games.
I mean, I don't think he'll go with a full team B. I mean, I think but it could be like half and half, or there could be some surprises for sure in the starting lineup, or some experimentation. Experimentation's fine when you've already got first place locked up.
Yeah.
I don't know what he'll do, and I don't know. But again, I mean, this is a league match; it's a competition, and I do feel like Santos is going to go all out because they still have a chance to a small, albeit a very small chance, but they still have a chance to climb into the top 4 positions with a win in their last 2 matches. So I think I think we could see them really go all out, really, really try to win. And if we don't really need to be in that position to win, I don't know. That could have an impact on the predictions.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if for these last 2 games, Nacho Ambriz actually uses all 5 of his substitutions for both games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get some of the guys out, like some of our starters, just to get them, maybe out of the game 30-40 minutes early. And
give Campbell, for example, like a lot more run. This would be a great opportunity to Campbell some more run, like some real run.
Yeah.
And like we're not worried about the result right now. We're worried about you getting informed for Liguilla. So go out there and run around.
Yeah.
Like I could see this as a good opportunity for that.
Him and Nico Sosa
and Nick Killer too. I to be honest with you, I understand the benching of Nico Sosa, but I kind of like having Meneses as that super sub and starting. I still kind of like that better. I like starting Nico. I think people don't want to recognize the good things that he does. He's deployed as a striker, so he's not scoring, and people think he's not doing anything. I just haven't seen that from him. I think his energy is really valuable. So I would consider giving him some more run again too. him and Campbell, maybe some of the youngsters, like don't give Fidel Ambris like garbage minutes, like give him real minutes. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the Nick Killer thing. But I mentioned this in a different podcast. At the end of the season, a striker is going to be judged by how many goals he scored. Nobody's going to look at how much he ran, his passing efficiency. They're going to look at just that column of how many goals you scored. And if it says 0, then people are going to bring down the criticism on you pretty heavy.
Absolutely. But one thing is that, and the other thing is like the actual funcionamiento of the team and like how he fits into that. And I really liked seeing how the impact that Meneses has had coming off the bench. I think that's a really, really great role for him. I mean, I understand the arguments for him to start too. But I like Nick Killer in there. You're right. Like, he's going to be judged on his goals, and he doesn't have any. But I still like what he does when he's out there. So I don't know. I think there's an argument to be made, especially in these last 2 games, for giving guys like him more time again.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, again, if Pumas and Pachuca play in 58 minutes, and if Pumas does not win, then we're in first place. I mean, we're just that's it. We've clinched first place. We're in first place, and so like, why go all out in these last 2 games when you don't have to? Because there's going to be a lot of teams fighting for positioning, either to stay in the top 4, to get into the top 4, or just to get into the repechaje, or just to stay in the repechaje. Like, spending a ton of energy in these last 2 games just to make it, and then and llegar a la liguilla fundido. So we don't have that to worry about. So, like, I don't know. I'm kind of in favor of experimentation and alternate lineups in these last 2 games, which might have an effect on the results.
Yeah. And I think obviously lineups kind of alter because we're missing Yairo, so might as well give Campbell and Nico Sosa opportunity, and then Nacho can figure it out on who would be a predominantly starting 11. Whether maybe he realizes, let's throw Campbell in, or I mean, I like Meneses from the start. I honestly prefer him over Nico Sosa. That's just a personal choice. Not discrediting
he's
anything.
A better player. He's a better player. I'm not denying that. But I just kind of just the way their roles are, like, I appreciate
and I don't discredit Nico Sosa of what he's done, but to me, Meneses, I don't know. To me, I have to start Meneses. Like, if it comes down to it, to me, I have to start Meneses.
Especially as much as he's been scoring.
Yeah,
like he refound the goal after he was benched. Ever since he got benched, every game he's been back, he's been scoring.
Yeah.
Why would you have that on the bench?
That's true. But I wouldn't mind seeing something like, okay, bench Osby and move Avion back to like an.
Aren't you just happy with him this game?
I was happier. I still don't think he's. If we win the title, it's not going to be because of him in any way. Let me just put that out there.
Bench him.
It's nothing personal. Nothing personal.
No, I agree with you.
Doesn't have a ton of qualities as a futbolista. I mean, I just don't. So take him out, put Avion back on in the inverted left back position, and start Campbell up on the left wing, maybe.
Yeah,
something like that. That wouldn't be out of this world. It wouldn't really be that much experimentation, but it would, it would change things up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what Ambris comes up with the next 2 games. It'd be good, like you guys said, give the other starting players minutes, and obviously the youth, because you just never know when we'll need them, especially during Liguilla. So players to watch out for Santos, obviously Diego Valdez, I think a player that is underrated under their coach. Carlos Acevedo, which he's always been one of my favorites, so I'm glad he's kind of getting his opportunity to kind of shine out. And Fernando Corriaran, also a really, really good player. So they have a couple of talents there. I just think it's been kind of struggling this season with the loss of Huevos. So we will see what happens in that match. What do you guys say? We go to prediction time?
Sure.
Let's do it. Courtesy by Louis. Let's go to prediction time.
Prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time.
That's always so soothing in my ears when I listen to it. It's prediction time.
It is prediction time.
Louis, let's go with you. What is your prediction for next Monday Night Football? And we'll get to talking a little bit about where are we going to play versus Santos.
I'm gonna stay optimistic. I think they get a deal done. They get a deal done to play in the new comp by Monday, by a week from today. They have enough. I think they have enough time get a deal done. I know they asked for a proroga. They asked for more time for Santos to let them know where the game would be. But yeah, I think I'm hopeful. I think they're going to get a deal done. It will be played in Estadio León. That having said, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna predict a draw. With Santos. I think Santos still has a lot to play for. I think maybe I predicted a draw once. But first of all, I think Pachuca and Pumas are going to draw tonight when they play in a little while. So I think we will have first place locked up, and I think they're going to take the foot off the gas a little bit and maybe experiment, have different lineups. And I think Santos still has a ton to play for. So they're really going to go out there and give us fits. They tend to give us fits anyway. Our games against them are generally difficult. They're kind of, I wouldn't say they're our coco. At least they are when we play in Torreon. Not so much at home, but even then, like our matches against them have not been the easiest. I've only seen a couple of wins in the history of all the games I've seen against León versus Santos. I've only seen a couple of wins. They for whatever reason they always give us fits, and so I think this is going to be a 2-2 draw. I don't think they're not going to come into wherever it is, whether it be León, Aguascalientes, whatever. They're not going to come in and have their way with us. They're not going to beat us, but I think it might be a 2-2 draw. Yeah.
2-2 draw for Louis. Carlos.
It's going to be a very interesting match. I think we're going to see some shuffling of the starting lineup. And like Louis said, Santos is going to come with their foot on the gas pedal because they have a lot to play for. But I think we'll have enough to compete. Let's stay optimistic. Let's go with a 2-1 win for León.
Win. Carlos says 2-1 win. That's what I was thinking as well. Since, like you said, it'll probably be some shuffling starting lineup. I'm really eager to see what surprises or what shuffling he does. I'm really intrigued. Because like you guys have mentioned before, it's 2 games. Why push our starting players to the max? There's no need right now. So it will be interesting. But I do think it won't be more than 2 goals for us. So I'm also going to go with a 2-1 win. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 2-2 draw. I wouldn't be surprised as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to say León wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if we draw 2-2 because those games with Santos are just different.
Got a bit of breaking news here, though.
What happened?
For you guys. Dropping some breaking news.
I wish I had a breaking news video. You know what? I'm going to do that.
You should do that. It's not a hot take. It's a breaking news.
It's not a hot take, yeah.
It looks like the game is going to be played at home. There's a report out by... Yes. There's a report out by Israel Romo, who lives in León, and he covers León for TUDN, saying that the team store is being repopulated with items.
I've seen that. I think it was a couple days ago that it was open.
Yeah. And the report, I'll post a link in the chat in case anybody wants to check it out. But it looks like everything's pointing to the La Fiera returning to the stadium.
Without fans, I assume.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get in somehow, Louis, this time around.
Hey, if Rodrigo Fernandez can't get me in, I don't think anybody can.
Be like, hey, I'm home. You guys are home.
His message expressed like a genuine, heartfelt, like he felt like he really felt bad that he couldn't do anything for us. But no, like if he can't, I mean, the only person more powerful than him in the organization is Pirru, El Chucho. But I don't have his contact information, sadly. I guess I could tweet at him.
I'll text him.
I could tweet at him. That is something I could do. But
nice.
Well. We will see what happens in the next upcoming days. Probably lots of different news coming. So just keep an eye out for everything Club Leon related in our accounts. Follow Club Leon EN for everything you need to know of Club Leon in English. Follow Louis because Louis always has his victory dance. So if his prediction is wrong, we will have another Fiera dance.
I did. I made a specific point to do a victory dance.
Yeah.
And shout out to cameraman Javier for making it a real cinematic experience for all the lovers and haters alike of victory dance, of all things victory dance.
Hashtag
Shout
victory
out.
dance.
Yeah.
Guys, anything else before we take off?
Wait, let's hope we get that first place tonight. Let's go watch the game.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for this Pumas Pachuca game. I'm glad that's happening now. I got something entertaining to watch.
Well, guys, this is the end of episode 52, Slaying the Competition. Watch for the next upcoming game of Pachuca versus Pumas to kind of see where La Fiera stands at the end of that. Follow us on all social medias, the Lions Den Podcast on Twitter. You can scan the QR code and also for Los de Arriba Oficial to link directly to their Twitter page. Thank you guys for watching via YouTube and Periscope. Thank you guys for joining us on another Monday Night Football. Don't forget, next Monday night we'll have another game, Leon versus Santos, which we will be watching. So hope you guys have a good night and catch us on another episode of the Lions Den Podcast next week.